Unit 2 Editing. Unit Structure 2.1 Objectives 2.2 Introduction to Editing 2.3 Editing Principles 2.3.1 Accuracy 2.2 3.2 Precision 2.3.3 Balance and Fairness 2.3.4 Brevity 2.3.5 Clarity 2.3.6 Readability 2.3.7 Women's Interest 2.3.8 Self-Observation 2.4 Editing Tools 2.5 Steps involved in editing 2.5 Organization and Paragraphing 2.5.2 Paragraph Clarity 2.5.3 Overall Coherence 2.5.4 Usage and Sentence Structure 2.5.5 Spelling and Punctuation 2.6 Solved Examples 2.7 Points to Remember 2.8 Check your progress 2.1 Objectives to learn the concepts and processes of editing, to learn the language skills required for the editing, to know what principles govern the editing, to learn the various steps involved in editing, to learn editing with help of examples. 2.2 Introduction to Editing. Editing and proofreading are often neglected, but they are the crucial final stages of a writing process. Given the smallest error can result in embarrassing or even costly outcomes, misspelling a name, transposing digits in telephone number, mistakes in a prospectus, taking time and care to check what you have written is essential. Accuracy is one of the chief concerns of the editing stage. Editors' professional and ethical responsibility to include in their research and writing process and checking of facts, which includes the correct spelling and pronunciation of names, the factual details of a story, and any basis upon which conclusions are drawn. Multiple checks for accuracy are the norm. All careful, responsible writers should do the same. The reliability of the finished text depends upon the accuracy in the searching and the writing process. Hence, editing is the first task that should be undertaken. After finishing the first draft of a piece of text, it involves checking the content of the text to ensure that the ideas are expressed clearly and logically, forming a coherent and meaningful whole. Thus, editing is the process of preparing language, images, or sound for presentation through correction, condensation, organization, and other modifications. A person who edits either professionally or as hobby is called an editor. Oxford Dictionary defines editing as to prepare written material for publication by correcting, condensing, or otherwise modifying it. Editing requires careful analysis and critical thinking, and proofreading requires a great deal of attention to details. As such, they are not tasks that can be done in a rush or squeezed in between other tasks. It is essential to devote sufficient time and concentration to both, and being in the right frame of mind to do this is very important. Editing is done with specific motive of checking and improving the following: punctuation, spelling, sentence structure, subject and verb agreement, proper word use, clarity, point of view, redundancies, inconsistencies, dialogue, flow, and format. In simpler terms, editing is done to improve news stories grammatically, structurally, style-wise, factually, and in terms of readability. And sub-editors or copy-editors do the editing. Editing requires focusing on the content of the text. The key goals are to check that the text flows logically, is coherent and consistent. Coherent and consistent, forms a meaningful whole, is clearly expressed, is accurate in the information it provides. Has an appropriate tone, It's concise, makes its purpose clear, is targeted towards the reader. 2.3 Editing Principles. The principles of good editing are accuracy, attribution, balance and fairness, brevity, clarity, readability, human interest, and self-observation. 2.3.1 Accuracy. The reader should be obsessed with the accuracy because one mistake can destroy the reputation of a newspaper or magazine, and it takes just a fraction of a second to make one. Checking and cross-checking names, figures, and verifying facts are of utmost importance. Always attribute the news to the resources so that readers can judge its credibility. 2.3.2 Attribution. Always attribute the matter to its source so that readers can judge its credibility. The highly praised defense, personal finance, ministry sources, etc. are attributions that help readers to arrive at their own conclusions while steering clear of the suspicion that the reporter is giving his own version of the story. 2.3.3 Balance and Fairness. Balance and fairness form the foundation of good editing. Balance is giving both sides of the picture, while fairness is not taking sides. It also means not providing support to any one view or ideology, institutions, communities, or individuals, etc. Through the columns of the paper or the matter. It is the attribute of a professional reporter and the duty of a sub-editor to implement it. 2.3.4 Brevity. Brevity is a great virtue in a journalism or in any domain appreciated by readers or editors and editors alike. It is telling a story as it should be without beating around the bush. It saves time and space and brings applause when consummated to perfection. 2.3.5 Clarity. Clarity is the ability to think clearly and translate it into paper, a quality that can take one to the higher echelons of writing skills. Hierarchy. 2.3.6 Readability. Readability as a bearing on sentence length and simple form for right manner and expression. The average length of a sentence should not exceed 18 words, which is the standard. It is not easy to read the sentence with more than 18 words. Beyond 25 words, the sentence will be very difficult to read. Though some accomplished authors have far exceeded the standard and yet remain readable because of their craftsmanship. But you are advised to stay out of long-winding and complicated sentence constructions. The best way is to write news stories using simple words, short and simple sentences. 2.3.7 Human interest. Using a style that arouses human interest is what the craft of editing is all about. Editors should see the events from the reader's point of view and write the news stories, keeping the reader ever in mind along with his hopes, fears, and aspirations. The editor should identify himself with the proverbial common man who does not exist but represents the silent majority to whom the journalist or writer is duty bound to defend and protect. 2.3.8 Sharp observation. Sharp observation is the hallmark of an ace communicator, particularly in the field of journalism and any domain. It creates reality, imparts dynamism to reporting, and heightens the reading pleasure and fine-tunes readers' perception. 2.4 Editing tools. Proofreading marks. Proofreading marks are used to edit written material. These marks indicate the changes that need to be made to a piece of writing in order to complete some of the lessons and reviews that your teacher will assign you this year. You need to be familiar with proofreading marks. This sheet contains all of the proofreading marks you will use to complete the focus, lessons, cumulative reviews, and final reviews. Insert comma. After the game, let's go get a snack. In such a period, it's time to go home. Insert semicolon. People used to think that the world was so flat. Our world, we know that the world is oval shaped. Insert colon. The success of a retail business depends on one thing: a good location. Insert question mark. Are you tired? Insert exclamation mark. Go Panthers. Insert hyphen. I lift 10 pounds of weight. Insert apostrophe. Alice comment. Insert quotes. She shouted, "Look over here." Change from uppercase to lowercase. I love bananas. Change from lowercase to uppercase. North Carolina. Delete. Romance movies makes me sad. Sad. Insert new text. Romance movies make me sad, very sad. Source: a handout by Glens or McGraw-Hill. 2.5 steps involved in editing. Use the following strategies to find and correct errors in organization and paragraphing, usage and sentence structure, and spelling and punctuation. 2.5.1 Organization and paragraphing. Find your paper, write up statement, copy it on another sheet of paper. If your write-up is not directly stated, write down your possible write-up. Locate the central idea of each paragraph and try to reduce that idea to a word or phrase. If you cannot decide on one phrase, list 2-3 options. List the paragraph ideas. List this in order under your write-up. Decide whether your paragraphs clearly relate to your write-up. If not, either rewrite your write-up to incorporate the unrelated ideas or eliminate the unrelated paragraphs. 2.5.2 Paragraph clarity. Locate the central idea of each paragraph. Reduce that idea to a word or phrase. Look at each paragraph randomly. Consider only the information in that paragraph. Ask yourself whether you offer enough details in the paragraph to support the word or idea. Decide whether all of your details are relevant. Ask yourself whether all of the information is stated enough to be in the same paragraph. Should you create another paragraph or move some of the details to another paragraph? 2.5.3 Overall coherence. See whether you have clear transitions between paragraphs. If not, clarify existing transitions, add new ones, and/or rearrange your paragraphs to make the transition clearer. 2.5.4 Usage and sentence structure. A subject or verb agreement. Find the main verb in each sentence. Match the verb to its subject. Make sure that the subject and verb agree in number. B. Pronoun reference agreement. Skim your paper, stopping it at each pronoun. Look especially at it, this, they, their, and them. Search for the noun that the pronoun replaces. If you can't find the noun, insert one beforehand or change the pronoun to the noun. If you can find the noun, be sure it agrees in number and the person with your pronoun. See parallel structure. Skim your paper, stopping at keywords that signal parallel structures. Look especially for and or, not only but also, either or, neither or both, and make sure that the items connected by these words, example, adjective, nouns, phrases, are in the same grammatical form. 2.5.5 Spelling and Punctuation. Yes, spelling. Correct the spellings gives you your word credibility. Not only will your reader know that you are educated, but also that you are careful about your work. You should have a dictionary handy to confirm that you have correctly spelled all unfamiliar words, especially if they are keywords in the piece. In the workplace, a memo with a repeatedly misspelled word can be embarrassing. An essay with a misspelled word in the title or a word that is spelled incorrectly throughout the piece that can affect your final grade. Avoid embarrassing situations like this by checking your spelling. Even if you know all spelling rules by memory, you will come across exceptions to the rules. Words that come from other language, Borgios, psych, words have silent letters, allied, snack, or all are words that are technical terms. Cryogenics, chemical, numerical can present problems. In addition, the spelling can change when the word is made plural. Puppies, octopi, anonyms like beer, bear, or bear, or course can be easily confusing, as can the words that have unusual vowel combination. Beauty, archaeology. When in doubt, check the words by consulting the dictionary. Example: he read through the entire paper looking for a story on the protest march. Spell check suggests replacing through with through, through, or through. The dictionary will tell you that the correct spelling is through. Examine each word in paper individually. Move from the end of each line back to the beginning. Pointing with the pencil helps you visually see each word. Do not rely on a spell check. Your computer may change a word to a closely spelled word that is very different in meaning to the word you wrote. If necessary, check a dictionary. We compound sentence commas. Skin for the conjunction and but for or not so and yet. See whether there is a complete sentence on each side of the conjunction. If so, place a comma before the conjunction. See introductory commas. Skim your paper looking only at the first two or three words of each sentence. Stop if one of these words is dependent marker, a transition word, a participle, a or a preposition. Listen for a possible break point for before the main clause. Place a comma at the end of the introductory phrase or clause which is before the independent clause. D comma splices. Skim the paper stopping at every comma. See whether there is a complete sentence on each side of the comma. If so, add a coordinating conjunction after the comma or replace the comma with a semicolon. E fragments. Look at each sentence to see whether it contains an independent clause. Pay special attention to sentences that begin with dependent marker words such as because or phrase such as for example or such as. See if the text is only a piece of the previous sentence that mistakenly got separated. F. Run-on sentences. Review each sentence to see whether it contains more than one independent clause. Start with the last sentence of your paper and work your way back to the beginning, sentence by sentence. Break the sentence into the sentences if necessary. G. Apostrophes. Skim your paper, stopping only at those words that end in yes, saying whether or not each word needs an apostrophe. If an apostrophe is needed, you will be able to invert the word order and say of the Mary's hat or the hat of Mary. Height left out words. Read the paper aloud, pointing every word as you read. Don't let your eye move ahead until you spot each word. Also, make sure that you have not doubled the words. Capitalization and punctuation. Capitalization and punctuation are like auto mechanics for your writing. They tune up your sentences and make them stop, and run smoothly. Example: the Russian ballet travels all over the world, performing to amazed audiences in each new city. This sentence jogs along like an old car driven by someone who doesn't know how to use the brakes. Edited example: the Russian ballet travels all over the world, performing to amazed audiences in each new city. Redundancy: often writing assignments require a minimum number of words. Because of this, it is tempting to use several words of description instead of one well-chosen word with the same meaning. This redundancy, however, makes the sentences awkward and interrupts the flow to a piece of writing. To write effectively, you must eliminate the words that simply replace other words for no purpose. Example: the football team made future plans to completely concentrate on the basic fundamentals of each individual position. Plans are always for the future. Concentrating implies complete focus. Fundamental means basics and positions are individual. Therefore, the italicized words are unnecessary modifiers. Edited example: the football team made plans to concentrate on fundamentals of each position. Some other common redundancies include whole, entire, big, fat, complete, truth, terrible, tragedy, pitch black, various, different, true facts, free gift, and final outcome. Words are also imply categories, so you can often eliminate your word that names a category. For example, the dinosaurs that were green colored were few in number during that period in history. Edited example: there were few green dinosaurs during that period. Periods such as one in the sentence are always periods in history. Participles in the participle phrases. A principle is a verb or form that can be used as an adjective, and a participle phrase is a phrase that contains a participle and any modifiers. For example, when you change the verb develop to developing to describe something, you have created the participle. Adding modifiers to developing gives you a participle phrase. Example: developing off the coast of Haiti. A tropical storm brought rain and high winds to the West Indies. The participle phrase developing off the coast of Haiti describes a tropical storm. Example: we saw Lance Armstrong receiving the yellow jersey after the first mountain stage of the Tour de France. The participle phrase receiving the yellow jersey describes Lance Armstrong. Participle phrases can transform short, choppy sentences by adding description and detail. Gerunds and gerund phrases. Gerund phrases can also bring variety to your sentences. A gerund is a verb ending in ing that serves as a noun. Example: running is a good way to stay in shape. Running is formed from the verb or run and is used as a noun in this sentence. Example: until I revise many times, I am not happy with my writing. Writing is formed from the verb write and is used as a noun in this sentence. Gerund phrases occur when a gerund is combined with modifiers. Example: working on steamboat was a good summer job. The phrase working on the shrimp boat serves as a noun in the sentence. Example: my brother enjoys skiing at Crystal Mountain. The phrase skiing at Crystal Mountain serves as a noun in the sentence. The oppositives and oppositive phrases. Oppositives are add description and detail to your writing to make it clearer. An appositive is a noun or a pronoun used to identify and or explain another noun. Example: my cousin Alessandro can play the piano. The noun Alessandro identifies the noun cousin, so it is a appositive. Appositives are also combined with modifiers to make appositive phrases and infinitives and infinitive phrases. Infinitive phrases can also take the monotony out of your writing. Infinitive is a verb form composed of to plus the verb phrase. Example: to walk, to speak, to cry, to live, to eat. These verbs are often a part of verb chain but are not the main action verb of the sentence. Example: Fred tried to speak quickly. The main verb is tried. What Fred tried to speak quickly. 2.6 Solved examples. 1. Unedited passage. Style is one of the big goals of a good writer. You create a piece of writing that accomplishes all that you have set out to accomplish, includes no word that stray from your purpose and is logically coherent and graceful without excess. Then you achieve style. Notice I said create a piece of writing. That is because writing good with style rarely just happens. It has to be worked at, crafted, rewritten, revised, and rearranged. Your first drafts are like the piece of marble the sculptors shape. They look it over and see how to begin, and then they start carving with large tools like a hammer or chisels. As the sculpture progresses, the sculptors use more fine tools, removing smaller and smaller pieces of marble until they reach the final stage when they polish the sculpture and place it on its base for display. Marble sculptures are beautiful to look at, completely finished, and serve the purpose of portraying a subject, a person, or an object clear and gracefully. Your writing should go through a similar process of close revision until the final product is also beautiful to look at, completely reversed and serves its purpose. Edited passage style is one of the central goals of a good writer. When you create a piece of writing that accomplishes all you set out to accomplish, includes no words that stray from your purpose, and is logically coherent and graceful without excess, then you have achieved style. Notice the phrase create a piece of writing. Style rarely just happens. Instead, your writing has to be worked at, crafted, rewritten, revised, and rearranged. Your first draft is like the piece of marble that sculptors select. They look it over and visualize how to begin, and then they start carving with large tools like hammers and chisels. As the sculpture progresses, the sculptors use finer and finer tools, removing smaller and smaller pieces of marble until they reach the final stage, when they polish the sculpture and place it on its base for display. Marble sculptures are beautiful to look at, or completely finished. They serve the purpose of portraying a subject, a person, or an object clearly. Beyond beautifully, your writing should go through the similar process of close revision until the final product is also beautiful to look at, completely revised, and serves its purpose. To an editor passage. With an invention of the personal computer and the internet and page in communications, begins. Now people could communicate faster and more easily than ever before. Writing, editing, and storing information become quick and easy. It was no longer necessary to write a draft after draft when changes could be made so easily using a word processor program. Messages could now be sent in no time to anywhere in the world without addressing envelopes or leaking stamps. Century most surely around the year 1450, a similar revolution communications had occurred in Germany. This happened when Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. Gutenberg was not the first person to use printing to copy a piece of writing. Printing was already being invented in China, where they used clay to print oriental characters. Small items such as posters and flyers were already being printed in Europe too, using the woodblock method of printing. Books and other largest works, however, were still being copied by hand. At this time, books were easily produced only in Latin, and only the most educated people read them. Gutenberg's printing press was about to change all of this. The edited presses with the invention of a personal computer and the new age in communications began. Now people could communicate faster and more easily than ever before. Writing, editing, and storing information became quick and easy. It was no longer necessary to write draft after draft when changes could be made so easily using a word processor program. Messages could now be sent in no time anywhere in the world without addressing envelopes or leaking stamps. Centuries most early, around the year 1450, a similar revolution in communications had occurred in Germany. This happened when Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. Gutenberg was not the first person to use printing to copy a piece of writing. Printing was already being invented in China, where they used clay to print oriental characters. Small items such as posters and flyers were already being printed in Europe too, using the woodblock method of printing. Books and other largest works, however, were still being copied by hand. At this time, books were usually produced only in Latin, and only the most educated people read them. Gutenberg's printing press was about to change all of this. 2.7 points to remember. Editing is specifically to correct the grammatical, syntactic, and semantic errors. Principles of editing include accuracy, brevity, clarity, sharp observation, cohesion, and many more. The process of editing involves the strategies starting from reading, pointing out the errors, of correcting errors, and following the strict guidelines. The set of tools are designed for editing the given passage. Editing is done in correcting grammatical errors, punctuation errors, syntax errors, and maintaining the cohesion and coherence of the matter. 2.8 Check your progress. 1. Proofread and revise the following sentence fragments. Make them complete sentences by adding the missing subject or predicate. Write the revised sentences on the lines provided. Note there may be many ways to revise the sentences depending on the words you choose to add. Some need both your subject and the predicate. Try to make them the best sentences you can, and don't forget to add the appropriate hint punctuation. Answers can be found at the end of the lesson. 1. Ran for student body precision. 2. Was wearing for machine guards. 3. Use Puerto Rico rather frequently. 4. Choose the new soccer team captains Michael and Josh. 5. Played the electric guitar in a new band. 6. Sent me an email with a virus. 7. The cat while she ate. 8. After the accident happened in front of the school. 9. Put too much syrup on his pancakes. 10. Rarely gets up before noon on Saturdays. 2. The following passage has not been edited. There is an error in each line. Write the incorrect word and correct word in the answer sheet against the correct blank number. Either you or your friend Shalu have stolen my note. A. Does book shouted Shreya, neither I know or my friend were. B. Yes, does your culprit, said Shalu. We both are in the class since. C. Does this morning we are out of the annual. Does this morning we are out of the annual day function. D. Does. But who are the culprits then? Asked Shreya. He does. I don't know that, but we both were not wealthy. Of does. 3. Read the passage below. Correct the responder numbers. My one brother-in-law is an actuary for an insurance company. He works with statistics every day. He is extremely recognized. He takes the same items to work every 2 morning a lunch bag. Morning a lunch bag. Yeah, most 3 with coffee and his briefcase. His lunch bag always contains the same things: an apple, raspberry yogurt, and a tuna salad sandwich. He always 5 carries the same items in his briefcase: his insurance documents, and extra tie and an extra pair of socks. He takes the same route with work every day. Down fast Avenue to Interstate Exit 246 to Dodge Road, and right on Dodge Road to insurance the company. 6. At work, he follows the same routine every day. After work, he always forgets. 7. He park his car. 8. I guess it helps to be very organized when you are so forgetful. 4. To be or not to be, that is the one question. These two well-known veterans has been the source of both mystery and wonderment for students around the world since the turn of the 16th century, arguably of the zenith of Shakespeare's creative output. Over the mere ubiquity of his phrase failed to answer some basic questions about 3. Its other context. Where did it come 4. From? The what does it mean? The 5. First scale of these questions: where does it come from? Can be answered fairly easily from Shakespeare's famous play Hamlet. As for the last of the 2 questions, a complete answer would require a more 7 deep read looks at Shakespearean culture and once almost 1,000 years of being too buried by falling ash from a 2-day volcanic eruption. Pompeii reveals fascinating details about 3-day two-day life in the Roman Empire. For Pompeii's population, roughly 20,000, evidence practices several religions. This is evidenced by temples dedicated to the Egyptian goddess Isis, as well as the 5 presence of Jews and worshippers of Cybele, called the Great Mother by her followers. Pompeii's citizens practiced all of these religions in apparent peaceful coexistence with followers of the state religion, but 6 but worshipped Jupiter and Roman. 7. Emperor, they led the Ashram assembly long lives assisted by doctors and dentists, and 6 8 were very well educated.